The Cincinnati Bengals are looking to get back to the Super Bowl, build off the noise that they created in 2021. Man, was it loud. I mean, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, this is going to be a legitimate duo for a long time. The Bengals are tough right now. They are going to be a really tough team for a long time, and I'm really excited. I think they got some things put together with their offensive line, and I think they finally got the right pieces to help them get over that hump. I think they're right there. They're going to be, like I said, with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and all those guys, they're going to be tough for a very long time. But with that comes the latest headlines for the Cincinnati Bengals before we get into training camp. I know there's a lot of emphasis on the before there, but I think that's really important for us to touch on right now because, again, there's a lot of things going on before we get into, the grind. Every day going to work for these players and finding a way to get it done. And I'm excited, though. I feel like this is really a good spot for a lot of NFL teams to really see what they've got. Now, some might argue that was mainly due or during the off-season workouts, the OTAs, but the training camp is where it's time to put up or shut up. So today we are kind of going over some of the latest headlines and takeaways from the workout so far for the Bengals. This is courtesy of Bengals Wire. Once again, we will put the link down in the description. So with that, we will take you guys right to it. So it goes on. It starts by talking about, obviously, yes, they shocked everybody, yes, but injuries. Guys like T. Higgins were out, as well as Logan Wilson and Joseph Asai, maybe that's how you say his name, but I believe they were out during some of the early parts of these camps, but will be back during training camp, according to Zach Taylor. So I believe Alex Kappa was a guy that was out with a core injury, but he reportedly will be back as well. Then a name that really popped up a lot was Scotty Washington. He's a former undrafted guy, 6'5", 245. I think he's going to be a guy that, at wide receiver, and I know it's already crowded at wide receiver, but, those 6'5" guys, those big frame guys, they could really find a place. They are finding a place in this NFL, guys that can go up and get the football and that are tough to move. So it's going to be an interesting battle at that wide receiver position, but obviously a name to that coming out and that is rising to the top a lot is a guy like Scotty Washington. So you're excited about that. Jackson Carman is a starter for now. Former second-round pick, there was some things last year that I really liked, but there was also some things that I felt like he really needed to improve on. So the entirety of this offensive line really does, I feel, rest on competition. Like, what is going to be brought in, like who is going to really step up, and who is brought in, who is going to step up, and who is going to find a way to really put this and help solidify this Cincinnati Bengals offensive line altogether. So I think Jackson Carman, there's still a lot to salvage. Obviously he's only a second-year player and he's a guy that you want to watch for, but it does talk about it. They've got fourth rounder Cordell Volson coming, Hakeem Adanji, and even Trey Hill, who are going to be competing. So, but I feel like that's what you need, though. You need competition at all these offensive lineman spots. Then it talks about Joe Burrow wanting more. I think it really stems to, I think it really kind of goes to who this is. Like, this is Joe Burrow in like every bit of it. Like, he is going to be that leader for that franchise for a long time. Obviously, everybody's talking about how he's working. He's in the weight room, and everything. So, I really feel like he's going to keep this offense together, and he's going to really make these guys pop and bring them to the top. I'm really excited for it. So then it talks about Burrow's brace. Yes, he's going to talks about what are we going to do when we're knee braces again during this offseason. Some of these headlines, okay, great, whatever. But anyway, rookies impressed. There was actually a couple of rookies that really came out. Guys like Daxton Hill and Taylor-Britt Taylor who were drafted to kind of help out with that corner and DB room. I'm excited about. I feel like, it talks about how Taylor-Britt Taylor, who ran a 4.3, was looking pretty good. So, I really feel like this is going to be a very interesting cornerback battle when you talk about Daxton Hill and Taylor-Britt Taylor. We're talking about two guys, like they said, are wicked fast that can make plays, and I think it's really going to be good to have those two rookies out there and getting some recognition. And honestly, please play the rookies. Just, even if the bad happens, get them out there and get them exposed to it. That's this one. So, You know, another guy that everybody's kind of pointing to is Tarquinius Tisdale. I'm really excited about Tarquinius Tisdale. I think there's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot to watch out for along this Bengals. Really, there's so many names to watch out for, even young guys. For instance, we were going to do a segment on our second-year rising star. We were going to put a guy like Jamar Chase, but at the same time, didn't he already break out? Like, there's just so many names like Jackson Carman, guys like that as well, that just all around this roster that I just cannot really applaud the Cincinnati Bengals, front office and everybody else for making this entire roster happen, because they did a fantastic job with putting all these different guys together. So I'm excited about it. I think just from top to bottom, there's a lot of players that are going to get a lot of run, if you will, and going to get a lot of opportunities. And so, I think from top to bottom, I think the biggest questions for me right now heading into Bengals training camp right now, obviously the offensive line. They, like we said, Jackson Carman, all those guys, Alex Kappa, Lael Collins, I believe, coming in to start at right tackle. There's a lot going on right now, and I feel like if you're going to really help out a guy like Joe Burrow, you're going to want to make sure that he is getting the protection he needs, and that those guys are stepping up for him. So I'm excited about that. But overall, this is going to be very interesting because we talk about the thing about it is not a lot of people are talking about this either. The Bengals did this and went to the Super Bowl, shocked everybody with the offensive line that they had. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, okay, that's actually way more impressive than people are getting it credit for, because I think it was something crazy. Like, Joe Burrow was sacked something like 9 times against the Titans. It didn't matter. Like, that's how good this team is. Can we just imagine how good this team could be with an offensive line that is in any way, shape, or form ready to go? So, and if by the way, I believe Tarquinius Tisdale, I'm not sure if he's on the Bengals anymore. This is a little bit of an older article. I probably should have started out with that. But the point is, there's a couple names you got to watch. I think it really does come down to our second part of the questions facing the Cincinnati Bengals. It's that DB room. Obviously things didn't exactly go well in the Super Bowl for some of the DBs. I'm not going to mention names, but I think there's still a lot to build here. I think there's still a lot to go off of. Eli Apple's coming back, Chidobe Awuzie as well. Jesse Bates is a stud. I can't wait for him to come back. But Daxton Hill, I think, could really push, as well as Cam Britt-Taylor could also push for some playing time right away and find a way to get on the field. And I cannot be more excited about it. So, I think at the end of the day, the Bengals are in a great spot, and I think that there's going to be a lot going on for them this offseason. But keep an eye on the offensive line and the DB room, and I think you're going to be just fine. But let us know what you guys think about the latest headlines for the Cincinnati Bengals before we head into training camp. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. And if you guys have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put it in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about the latest headlines for the Cincinnati Bengals before training camp.